If you want to understand the single most important factor in whether someone develops cancer, forget genetics and forget family history. What truly matters is what's happening inside your body right now. Microscopic cancers aren't just a possibility, they are forming this very moment. Everyone watching this has them. But here's the part most people don't realize. Whether these tiny cancers ever become dangerous depends entirely on three factors your body controls. First, your immune system's ability to detect and destroy them. Second, whether your blood vessels supply them with nutrients. And third, your body's inflammatory state, which can either suppress or fuel them. I'm Dr. Becker, an emergency medicine physician and cancer researcher. After nearly 3 decades studying how the body defends itself against disease, I've witnessed what happens when these natural defense systems fail. Cancers that could have been prevented. But I've also seen something remarkable. Specific foods, in precise amounts, can activate these defense mechanisms, even in people over 60, and even in those already diagnosed with cancer. In this video, I'll reveal 5 foods that clinical studies have shown fight cancer at the cellular level. We'll dive into how each works through multiple pathways to starve tumors, strengthen immunity, and repair damaged tissue. Most importantly, I'll share the exact quantities used in human studies, real doses that proved effective, not guesses. Quick favor, I often hear from viewers who didn't realize they weren't subscribed. Could you double check right now? It's free, takes just a couple of seconds, and helps this channel reach more people who urgently need this information. Here's something most people don't know. At any given moment, your body contains thousands of microscopic cancers. This isn't speculation, it's established science. Autopsies on individuals who died from accidents, with no cancer diagnosis or symptoms, reveal tiny clusters of cancer cells. Around 40% of women in their 40s have microscopic breast cancer. Roughly 50% of men in their 50s have microscopic prostate cancer. About 70% of people in their 70s harbor microscopic thyroid cancer. Yet these rarely develop into clinical disease. Why? Because your body has 3 defense systems keeping them in check. The first is your immune system. Specialized cells, natural killer cells, TEC cells, and macrophages patrol your body 24/7, hunting abnormal cells. When they detect a microscopic cancer, they eliminate it. This process occurs thousands of times throughout your life without you ever noticing. Imagine security guards monitoring every room of a building. The moment they spot an intruder, they remove it. That's exactly how your immune system operates continuously. The second defense is controlling inflammation. Inflammation is beneficial when you cut your finger, it's your immune system rushing to prevent infection and heal the wound. But chronic inflammation is very different. It's like a small persistent fire inside your body, releasing chemicals that tell cells to grow faster, divide more rapidly, and ignore normal stop signals. Microscopic cancers thrive in this environment, like pouring gasoline on a campfire. Keeping inflammation low keeps these cancers dormant. They can't grow. If inflammation runs rampant, however, those cancers receive the signal to expand. That's why people with chronic inflammatory diseases face higher cancer risks. It's not the disease itself, but the inflammatory environment that gives cancer permission to grow. The third defense, which most people have never heard of, is called angiogenesis. Every cell in your body requires oxygen and nutrients supplied by blood vessels. Your organs are crisscrossed with tiny vessels delivering everything cells need to survive. Microscopic cancers, however, are too small to attract blood vessels on their own. A tumor cannot grow beyond roughly 2 millimeters, the size of a ballpoint pen tip, without a blood supply. At that size, it's harmless. But if a tumor tricks your body into sending blood vessels its way, everything changes. Once it receives oxygen and nutrients, it can grow up to 16,000 times larger in just 2 weeks. That's the difference between a harmless speck and a deadly tumor. Angiogenesis, the process of growing new blood vessels, is normal and essential for healing wounds. But when cancer hijacks this process, it becomes lethal. Your body has the remarkable ability to deny cancer's request for a blood supply. When your anti-angiogenic defenses are strong, blood vessels never grow toward tumors, keeping them microscopic and harmless indefinitely. When those defenses weaken, blood vessels form, the cancer expands rapidly, and that's when diagnoses happen. So how can foods activate these 3 critical defenses? Let me break it down scientifically, and I'll give you the exact amounts and preparation methods. The first powerhouse is green tea, and here's why it's so effective. Green tea contains compounds called catechins, specifically one called EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate. You don't need to memorize the name, but you do need to understand its effects. I've studied EGCG in the lab for years. It's a natural chemical in tea leaves that dissolves into the water when you brew a cup. Whether you use tea bags, loose leaves, or matcha powder, you're getting this compound. EGCG acts in three crucial ways in your body. First, it dramatically reduces inflammation. Researchers at the University of California measured inflammatory markers in people before and after 8 weeks of green tea consumption. Levels of C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, and tumor necrosis factor alpha dropped 30–50%, comparable to pharmaceutical interventions. Second, EGCG boosts immunity, enhancing natural killer cell activity. A study at Brigham Young University gave older adults 3 cups of green tea daily for 3 months. At the end, natural killer cells were 47% more effective at identifying and destroying abnormal cells, including cancer cells. Third, and perhaps most remarkable, EGCG is anti-angiogenic. It prevents tumors from recruiting blood vessels. In lab studies, tumors exposed to EGCG remained tiny because they couldn't attract a blood supply. In animal experiments, tumors in mice given green tea extract grew 60% slower than those drinking plain water. But the human evidence is even more compelling. A Japanese study tracked over 8,000 people for 10 years. Those who drank 5 or more cups of green tea daily had 40% lower rates of colon cancer, 30% lower rates of stomach cancer, and 50% lower rates of esophageal cancer compared to those drinking less than 1 cup. Why digestive cancers in particular? Because when you sip green tea, it travels through your entire digestive tract, from mouth to esophagus, stomach, and intestines, coating every surface with protective catechins. Preparation matters. Never pour boiling water directly over tea leaves or bags. Scalding water damages catechins, and drinking extremely hot liquids can injure tissue, increasing esophageal cancer risk. Instead, heat water to about 175 degrees Fahrenheit. If you don't have a thermometer, bring water to a boil. Then let it sit for 3 minutes. Pour over your tea and steep for 5 minutes. If using bags, dunk repeatedly during steeping to extract more catechins. The effective dose 2 to 3 cups daily. For maximum benefit, consider matcha, which uses the whole leaf. 1 teaspoon of matcha in hot water daily delivers the catechin content of about 10 cups of regular green tea. The second cancer-fighting food is broccoli and other cruciferous vegetables, including cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, cabbage, and bok choy. What makes these vegetables so potent are sulfur-containing compounds called sulforaphanines, the molecules responsible for their characteristic smell when cooking. Sulforaphane works in 3 ways. It activates your immune system, increasing natural killer and T-cell activity. It's strongly anti-inflammatory by triggering a genetic pathway called NRF2, which stimulates your cells to produce their own powerful antioxidants. And it's anti-angiogenic, preventing tumors from recruiting blood vessels. Here's something many people don't know. The broccoli stalk contains twice as much sulforaphane as the florets most of us eat. Don't discard it. To make it palatable, slice the stalk diagonally and sauté with garlic and olive oil, which increases surface area and cooks it faster. Or blend chopped stalks into a soup with onions, garlic, vegetable broth, and oregano. The effective dose from studies is about 1 cup of chopped broccoli daily, including the stalk. Even more interesting are broccoli sprouts. 3-day-old plants grown from seeds that resemble alfalfa sprouts. Broccoli sprouts are thin, white stems with tiny green leaves. But don't be fooled by their size, they pack an extraordinary punch. These sprouts contain up to 100 times more sulforaphane than mature broccoli. Why? Because a plant is born with all the sulforaphane it will ever have. As it grows, that compound gets distributed throughout the larger plant. But the sprout is concentrated medicine. A study at Johns Hopkins University gave high-risk individuals 2 ounces of broccoli sprouts daily, about half a cup. After 3 months, cancer biomarkers in blood and urine dropped by 60%, and over 200 cancer-fighting genes were activated. 200 genes turned on simply by eating sprouts. Broccoli sprouts are available at health food stores or can be easily grown at home. All you need are broccoli sprouting seeds, a mason jar, and 3 days. Simply place 2 tablespoons of seeds in a jar, cover with water overnight, then rinse and drain twice daily. By day 3 you have nutrient-dense sprouts that cost almost nothing and deliver pharmaceutical-grade cancer protection. The third food is papaya, a fruit many people overlook as medicine. Papaya is an oblong, football-sized tropical fruit. When ripe, cut it in half, scoop out the black seeds, and the flesh is bright orange, soft and sweet. That orange color comes from carotenoids, specifically beta-cryptoxanthin, which is anti-inflammatory, anti-angiogenic, and particularly protective for lung tissue. Multiple studies show that high intake of beta-cryptoxanthin is linked to dramatically lower lung cancer rates. A Harvard study followed over 70,000 women for 18 years, tracking diet and cancer outcomes. Women with the highest beta-cryptoxanthin intake had a 31% lower risk of lung cancer compared to those with the lowest intake, even among former smokers. How does it work? Beta-cryptoxanthin accumulates in lung tissue, reducing inflammation and preventing blood vessel growth tumors need. The effective dose is about 1 cup of fresh papaya daily, or 1.5 cups of frozen chunks. A quick note about fruit sugar. Some people avoid fruit fearing it feeds cancer. That's an oversimplification. While cancer cells use glucose, so do your healthy cells, your brain, muscles, and organs. The real issue is excess insulin caused by high sugar and refined carb intake. Whole fruit contains sugar, but it also provides fiber, vitamins, antioxidants, and potent anti-cancer compounds. Fiber slows sugar absorption, preventing the insulin spike seen with juice or processed sugar. Studies show people who eat whole fruit daily have lower cancer rates. Eat papaya, berries, and other whole fruits, but avoid fruit juice which lacks fiber and is concentrated sugar. If concerned about blood sugar, eat fruit earlier in the day and pair it with protein or healthy fat to further slow absorption. The fourth food is purple potatoes. If you haven't seen them, prepare for a visual treat. Their skin is purple, and when cut open, the flesh is a deep violet. This color comes from anthocyanins, the same compounds that give blueberries and red cabbage their vibrant hues. Anthocyanins are powerful antioxidants and anti-inflammatory agents, and purple potatoes have been specifically studied for anti-cancer effects. Researchers at Penn State gave laboratory animals purple potato extract. Tumors in these animals grew 65% slower than in animals given regular white potato extract. Anthocyanins were doing two crucial things: cutting off the blood supply to tumors, classic anti-angiogenic action, and killing cancer stem cells. Cancer stem cells are key to understanding why some cancers return. Even after surgery, chemotherapy, or radiation, tumors may appear gone, yet cancer can recur years later. That's because cancer stem cells, like dandelion seeds, remain hidden. You can mow down the visible tumor, but if the roots persist, it regrows. Most chemotherapy targets bulk cancer cells but often leave stem cells untouched. Anthocyanins in purple potatoes, however, have been shown to kill colon cancer stem cells. A study at Ohio State University exposed colon cancer stem cells to purple potato extract and observed significant destruction of these root cells, attacking the tumor at its source. The purple potato extract selectively killed cancer stem cells while leaving normal colon cells unharmed. This is called selective toxicity, exactly what we want from cancer treatment. Eliminate the cancer while sparing healthy tissue. Preparing purple potatoes is simple. Cook them just like regular potatoes. Bake, steam, roast, or sauté. I personally love making purple potato soup. Dice the potatoes, sauté with onions and garlic, add vegetable broth, simmer until tender, then blend. The result is a stunning deep purple soup packed with anthocyanins. Here's a pro tip. After cooking, let the potatoes cool completely, then refrigerate them. This forms resistant starch, a type of starch that resists digestion. Resistant starch has two major benefits. First, it reduces blood sugar spikes when you eat it. Second, it feeds beneficial gut bacteria. These bacteria ferment the resistant starch and produce short-chain fatty acids, which reduce inflammation throughout the body. Cooked and cooled purple potatoes therefore give you anti-cancer anthocyanins and feed healthy gut bacteria, creating a cascade of protective effects. The effective dose is about 1 medium purple potato per day, or 1 cup of diced purple potatoes several times a week. The fifth food is pomegranate, a fruit with a long history of medicinal use. About the size of a large apple, it has thick leathery skin and a crown at the top. When cut open, it's filled with hundreds of ruby red seeds, each encased in a juicy sac. Pomegranates contain compounds called elegitannins, which give the fruit its color and tart flavor. When you eat pomegranate or drink the juice, elegitannins reach your colon, where gut bacteria convert them into smaller compounds called urolithins. These urolithins provide the health benefits. They are strongly anti-angiogenic, preventing tumors from growing blood vessels. For example, a UCLA study gave men with prostate cancer whose PSA levels were rising after treatment 8 ounces of pomegranate juice daily. PSA doubling time, a measure of cancer growth, increased from 15 months to 54 months. While the cancer was still present, its growth slowed dramatically. Some men maintained stable PSA levels for years, avoiding more aggressive treatment. Researchers believe L-argitanins starve microscopic cancer cells by blocking blood vessel growth. L-argitanins also promote gut health by feeding a key bacteria called Akkermansia muciniphila, one of the most important microbes for cancer prevention. This bacteria lives in the mucus layer of the intestines and communicates with the immune system to activate cancer-fighting cells. Studies in cancer patients receiving immunotherapy show that those who respond well have high levels of Akkermansia. Patients lacking it often fail to respond. But when Akkermansia from responding patients was transferred to non-responders, the treatment became effective. One bacteria species can make the difference between life and death. Pomegranate is one of the most effective ways to increase Akkermansia. The recommended dose is 8 ounces of 100% pure pomegranate juice daily. If it's too tart, mix 4 ounces juice with 4 ounces water. You can also eat the seeds, sprinkle them on salads, mix with yogurt, or eat by the handful. One pomegranate provides roughly 3/4 of a cup of seeds. Eating one pomegranate every few days or drinking 8 ounces of juice daily supplies enough L-argitanins to support gut health. Within a week, your gut bacteria start shifting, and within a month, Akkermansia levels can rise substantially. Here's a practical protocol combining all 5 foods based on research and my clinical experience. Start your morning with 2 cups of green tea at breakfast, brewed correctly as described earlier. Let it steep, cool, and sip slowly to maximize its benefits. Mid-morning, enjoy a snack of papaya, about 1 cup of fresh or frozen chunks. If you're still hungry, add a handful of nuts or seeds for protein. For lunch, include broccoli sprouts or cooked broccoli with the stalk. Half a cup of sprouts works well on a sandwich or salad, or 1 cup of steamed broccoli as a side dish. Mid-afternoon, have another cup of green tea. By now you've reached the therapeutic dose of 3 cups. For dinner, include purple potatoes in your regular rotation, baked, roasted, or as the soup I described. If you want the resistant starch benefit, let them cool first, then reheat gently. Before bed, drink 8 ounces of pomegranate juice, diluted with water if needed. This gives your gut bacteria all night to work on the L-argitanins, feeding Akkermansia while you sleep. Here are my pro tips from 3 decades of clinical practice. Consistency matters more than intensity. Eating these foods once won't change much. Eat them daily, week after week, month after month. That's when the protective effects appear. Immune function improves gradually, inflammation decreases over weeks, and Akkermansia populations grow within a month. This is a lifestyle, not a quick fix. Frozen is fine. When fresh produce isn't available or affordable, frozen papaya chunks, broccoli, and even pomegranate arils are excellent. They're often frozen at peak ripeness and retain bioactive compounds better than produce that has been sitting in storage. Coordinate with your doctor. If you have active cancer or are undergoing treatment, inform your oncologist about these foods. None interfere with standard treatments, and research suggests they may enhance effectiveness, especially immunotherapy. Integrate them into a healthy diet. These 5 foods work best as part of a broader anti-inflammatory eating plan. Don't eat them while consuming processed meats, fried foods, and sugar. Build your meals around these protective foods, then include other whole foods like fish, nuts, seeds, olive oil, and additional vegetables. Realistic expectations for diagnosed patients. If you've been diagnosed with cancer, these foods are still beneficial, but they are not a replacement for conventional treatment. Surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation remain essential. However, incorporating these foods alongside treatment can improve outcomes, reduce side effects, and may help prevent recurrence. Patients who combine standard therapy with these dietary strategies often experience better quality of life, fewer side effects, and sometimes longer survival. I also want to address fear. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed, feeling scared is normal, but fear can paralyze, and paralysis is the enemy. Here's what I tell patients. You have more control than you realize. You can't control the cancer already present, but you can control what you put into your body right now. Every cup of green tea activates your immune system. Every serving of broccoli starves microscopic tumors. Every glass of pomegranate juice feeds gut bacteria that communicate with your cancer-fighting immune cells. These are tangible, measurable actions. You are not helpless. The research is clear. People over 60, those already diagnosed, and those with genetic risk factors can all benefit from these foods. A Harvard study tracking over 50,000 men for 20 years found that men who consumed the highest amounts of cruciferous vegetables, carotenoid-rich fruits, and tea had 50% lower overall cancer mortality than those who consumed the least. 50%, that's life-changing. These aren't exotic superfoods, Green tea, broccoli, papaya, purple potatoes, and pomegranate are available at any grocery store. A week's supply costs $20, $30, a tiny investment compared to the cost of cancer treatment, lost quality of life, or reduced lifespan. If you found this information valuable, share it with someone who needs it, a parent, spouse, or friend. Cancer will affect 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women in their lifetime. This knowledge could save a life. Also check out my next video, where I reveal the foods that actually increase cancer risk. Common items hiding in plain sight that most people eat every day without realizing the danger. I'll see you there. Dr. Rebecca, out.